Hi, my name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. I'm going to give you some data here in a minute, but I want everybody to remember, and I want everybody who maybe hasn't thought of it this way before, to listen to all news you hear here, news you hear in alternative media and the mainstream, and look at it as information that is important to know, because all information, all news is connected. It doesn't matter if we know it's blatant propaganda. It doesn't matter if we know that it's the truth. It doesn't matter if we know it's somebody's opinion. It's all important because it's all connected. If we know the propagandists, if we know the message they're trying to deliver, we can see the direction they're trying to lead us. If we see the direction that they're trying to truly lead us, we know what to prepare for. We know that if they say everything is going to be fine because the stock market's at 14,000 points, that it's time to really start being concerned. If they say glory days and happy days are here again, we understand that we can take the contrarian point of view and prepare for the worst. Now, a lot of people think that's fear-mongering, but it's not fear-mongering. If you look at the news and accept it at face value from the mainstream corporate-owned media, from the propagandists in Washington, D.C., it's tantamount, if you take this news as fact, it's tantamount to burying your head in the sand and hoping somebody else has your best interest at heart. But you got to be honest with yourself. Look at these folks in Washington, D.C. Look at these folks on Wall Street. Look at these too big to fail institutions and ask yourself this question. Have they steered this nation in the right direction? They've had ample time, right? They've had ample time to fix the problems that brought us the 2008 collapse. Have they fixed anything? No, they have not. Our government has let us nearly doubled our sovereign debt. The Wall Street institutions haven't fixed the problem with speculation, haven't fixed the problem with erroneous loans to people that they know they can't pay. Subprime is almost back in vogue once again. These problems that brought us to where we are now are not fixed. And in fact, if we're honest and we look at the real data, they're far worse than they were pre-2008. So let me give you some data. And let's, again, keep in mind, it's all connected. Gas, 50 cents a gallon increase in the last couple of months. That's a big deal. Our economy runs on fuel. Fuel prices go up. It slows an already stagnant economy. The State Advisory Board in Michigan says there's no viable plan to save Detroit. Understand, this is a state advisory board put together to figure out how to save Detroit. They can't do it. If Detroit goes bankrupt, it's going to be the largest municipal bankruptcy in the history of this nation. Let's look at the retail sector. David Gallagher, CEO of Town Sports International, says consumers simply do not have the income, in speaking to why he's seeing a big retail slump. You know, David's right. The consumers, you know, this 70% plus consumer-based economy, consumers don't have the money. Now, this doesn't make sense when you look at the Wall Street, right? When you look at the news that comes out about 14,000 on the Dow, because things should be humming along. We're creating 100 plus thousand jobs a month, aren't we? The fact is, no, we're not. We're manipulating the data so we can project this 7.88% unemployment rate. But the truth is, thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people over the last 4 years have just become non-people. They don't exist anymore. They're not in the working pool whatsoever. Consumer confidence is at the lowest level it's been in over a year, and a retail apocalypse is here. Believe it or not, you know, it is maybe just alternative media that you're hearing this from, but the fact of the matter is there is thousands of stores with multiple different name brand corporations that are shutting down in 2013 because the sales aren't there to support these centers. The sequester, a lot of people think this is just hype. It isn't hype. This is something that has been planned. This is something that has been put in place years ago, right? The fiscal cliff, the debt ceiling, the recent kicking the can down the road only brings us to March 1st. When this happens, there is going to be automatic cuts. 800 plus thousand civilian workers who are going to get put on no pay furlough. This is going to happen, and both teams will have the political cover to point across the aisle and say, it's not our fault, it's their fault. 50% of the people in this country believe that the year 2013 is going to be a very economically challenging year. This is important. This is in the midst of all the optimism that's dumped on us by the mainstream media, all the optimism that's brought to us by our so-called leaders in Washington, D.C., and still over half the people in this country believe that we are in economic turmoil. We're going to face economic turmoil in this year of 2013. 50% also believe the best days of the United States, over 50% rather, believe the best days of the United States are behind us. This is staggering, right? We're being told this is the greatest country on earth. We're spreading democracy everywhere. We have the strongest currency in the world. Everybody wants to do business with the United States. even through all this propaganda, we still have 50% plus of the population who believe the best days of this country are behind us. This information on the domestic front shows us the economy is not recovered. If you look at a chart of jobs recovery in all the recessions going all the way back to the Great Depression, it will floor you. In fact, I'll attach one to this video that shows we are not recovering from some recession in 2008. We are more like they were in the early 30s during the Great Depression. We are entering into a point of realization that we're not going to fix our problems by issuing fiat fantasy debt. We're not going to fix our problems by creating a debt bomb that is going to drown the average person in this country in sovereign debt. This was the plan from the beginning. And it isn't just happening here, it's happening around the world. Recently, the Prime Minister of Spain did his State of the Union, Premier Rajoy. Now, Premier Rajoy is the same Prime Minister rather, who before the banks were bailed out in 2012 in Spain said there's no problem here with our banks, we're doing just fine. Within weeks after this announcement, 100 billion euros needed to bail out the banks inside of Spain. And Spain is not Greece. Spain is a big economy inside of Europe. Spain has potentially trillions of dollars worth of derivatives created around its debt. When he gave his State of the Union just the other day, Prime Minister Rajoy said, there is no green shoots, there is no spring coming. Their economic situation is deplorable, and more draconian austerity must be implemented on the people of Spain. Now keep in mind, Spain has used 90% of its Social Security fund in order to stave off a default. Look, Europe is not fixed. The optimism is there. The attempt to install technocrats throughout Europe is still ongoing. But the problem of sovereign debt inside of Europe isn't fixed. The problem of sovereign debt inside of the United States certainly isn't fixed. And we're not heading to some glorious recovery. We're heading into a place that I believe has been engineered for the people of the West, the people of the United States, to enter into, which is a place where we are extremely malleable because of a few factors. One, we're losing the value of everything that we own. The number one investment for the middle class is their home. It continues to fall in value. And two, and more terrifying prospect is we're seeing a civil breakdown. We're seeing a breakdown in civility. We're seeing unrest in the streets. I believe this is all by plan and all by design, so we will be malleable to accept any solution that promises to save the day. But there won't be a solution that equals freedom in the United States or the rest of the world. It'll be a solution that equals indentured servitude for the population of this country and the West. Stories are attached. That's all I got.